Hello again, welcome back to my channel. Hope that you've been having a good December so far. Anyway, this book, The Last Adventure of Constance Verity by A. Lee Martinez, this book came to my attention. I was reading a list of, I don't know, I'm trying to remember what it was called, something like absurdist fantasy, something of that nature. And I am a fan of Terry Pratchett, and so absurdist fantasy appeals to me. I love his Discworld novels. I'm up in the air about the Watchmen television show. I've seen a couple episodes of it, and there's a couple of things that are weird. Like the fact that Cheery Littlebottom, just if you haven't read the novels and you haven't seen the show, I don't know what they were thinking when they cast that guy. Anyway, back to The Last Adventure of Constance Verity. So when I saw the recommendation and I read the description of the book, I thought, oh, that's interesting. Maybe it will be worth a read. So I checked my local library. They had it. I got it immediately, and I read it and enjoyed it thoroughly. The premise behind the book is that Constance Verity, when she was born, her fairy godmother visited her and basically gave her the blessing of being the chosen one. So when she was 7 years old, this blessing kicked in, and if I remember right, her birthday party was like invaded by ninjas or something like that. It was crazy. And so from then on, she was always having adventures. She's been dead like 3 times and come back. She's saved the world, the universe. She just constantly is getting embroiled in these adventures. So now she's in her 20s, if I remember correctly, and she is sick and tired of being the one who's always getting into adventures. She has one friend. She has no significant other, and her one friend. It's rather interesting because her one friend is kind of the opinion that having Constance as a friend is great because it alleviates the boredom of her life. She's just a regular person. She's been married and divorced. Her name is Tia. And every once in a while, Tia gets kidnapped because she's Constance's friend. Constance has to go save her. And so it's one of those things where every once in a while, there's some excitement in her life. And Constance is like, I am so sick and tired of this. So she and Tia get together to figure out how she can shed this this spell that she's under. And as she does this, she meets a new guy who is completely and utterly normal. And she wants to have the opportunity to maybe pursue a relationship with this guy, but she can't because every time she turns around, something is happening. Someone is trying to kill her or him or, well, in this instance, he doesn't come into the story very much. Which is kind of nice. It actually leaves it open because while the book says this is the last adventure of Constance Verity, it does at the end, a la James Bond, say Constance will be back. So you'll have to figure out how her adventure wraps up by reading the book. But there's a couple of things that I really enjoyed. One was the opening of the book. The opening of the book was Constance going to a place of business and just sitting down and trying to get a normal job. none of her skills really lend themselves well to a normal job. She's a fighter, a swordsman, swordswoman maybe. Who am I to say otherwise? She has all these skills that she's picked up as a life of an adventurer, trap finder, troubleshooter, all that kind of stuff. And she's trying to get an office job. So she's really not qualified for an office job, but she's trying to shed this chosen one vibe. She goes in, she sits down, and she tries to just have a normal job interview that for us, normal people, would be completely nerve-wracking because we're sitting there trying to get this job. We're hoping it's going to be, that we're going to be hired, and how are they going to react to us? How are we going to react to them? All that kind of stuff. And she's not really interested in that. She's just hoping they don't recognize that she is Constance Verity. Her full name is also hilarious. Her full name is Constance Danger Verity. So, anyway, back to her job interview. The people that she's sitting down with, they say, you know what, we might have an opening for you. And she thinks, oh, that's great. And they lead her into the other room, which happens to be full of pentagrams and stuff. And she's stumbled onto a devil-worshipping cult who's trying to bring some monstrosity to Earth, and she just happened to be there, and they're thinking we can sacrifice her and bring in this monstrosity. So of course then she has to shut down the cult, and all she was there to do was get a job. So it's quite ridiculous. There's aliens, there's monsters, there's all sorts of stuff going on. There's ninjas and yakuza, and at one point she's trying to be normal. She's trying to just walk down a street, and she can't even make it to the end of the street without saving some dude from getting killed by a bus, and then saving another dude from being attacked and killed by 2 yakuza enforcers. The action is fast and furious. The writing is snappy. The dialogue is witty. The characters, may need a little bit more fleshing out. And I did notice as I was looking for a picture for my review here, that Amazon has the next book on their website. So I may have to check and see if my library has that one. Anyway, very entertaining, very interesting, very worth your time. It is kind of set in modern day, and so even though Constance has a fairy godmother, magic is real, she still lives on Earth. She ends up at one point going to Area 51. So there's elements of reality that are incorporated into this book, rather than this being a complete made-up fantasy world. And it is definitely not situated in, say, a medieval setting, but in a modern-day setting. So she has to deal with modern technology, but there's also this fantasy world that is going on around it at the same time, while there's also aliens and high technology. So it's all a mishmash, and it works really well together. As I said, I highly enjoyed the last adventure of Constance Verity. I look forward to the next book in the Constance Verity series, and that's it for the review today. If you have any questions or comments, please make them down below. Like and subscribe as always, and enjoy what you're reading.